Hello and welcome in Focus Europe Talks. Our guest today is Nela Riehl from Volt Europa and at the European Parliament from the group of the Greens and European Free Alliance. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Our pleasure, my pleasure. So I would like to ask you about Volt itself. Volt is Europe's only pan-European party. And what is your main goal actually?
We want to achieve a better European Union. We do believe that there's more for the people. There's more peace, there's more prosperity for the people if we, as a European Union, truly work together. We see now we have all these crises. We have the climate crisis, we have the war on the European continent, which I never thought would happen. And we propose solutions, and that I think is new with our party that's spread across, I think, 30 countries over Europe.
Okay, so you are saying you are for better Europe, but I have a feeling that every party, every politician, even if they're against the common Europe, they still believe that they are for the better of Europe, or at least for the better of their countries.
Yeah.
So how would you respond to that? How are your preference of the better Europe is different than the others?
I think you gave the answer because then you said they're arguing for the better of their country. And that's exactly what I would question. I don't think that we're in an era where we can fight for nationalism anymore because nationalism doesn't provide answers. Working together, Europe-wide, that would provide answers. As I pointed out, for example, the climate crisis, I come from Germany or also in Poland. We will never solve these crises state by state, but we really need to work together. I think that's crystal clear. Now, of course, my colleagues on the far right, they claim that they know the solution. They claim that they know whose fault all these crises is. That's migrants, that's people on the left side. Their solutions are very simple, I would say, and that's something that I'd like to point a finger at.
Okay, so you said that nationalism doesn't provide answers, but all too often and more often it provides actually votes.
Yeah.
So how to deal with that?
Yeah.
Because pro-European focus doesn't really translate into votes in so many countries.
Well, in Germany, it kind of did in the European elections, and I was very happy to see 2024, so that's 2 years ago.
But you have just two Volt MEPs from Germany.
No, three. We have three, and we
sorry,
were one, yes.
and two from the Netherlands,
exactly.
so
we're
five altogether.
Now, and we were one before. So within 5 years, we managed to grow from one European member of the parliament to 5, and I think that's a great success. That shows that, of course, we are still a small party, so people don't really know us. But when they hear about it, they're like, yes, that's what I'm going to vote for. So going from 1 to 5 to us is a success, and we're very sure that's what signals that we get from when we travel around Europe, that we will manage to have 27, 25 members within by the next elections. Because
so that you can have your own political group,
exactly,
like, for example, European People's Party and so on, yes?
That is what we're aiming at. Because I do feel that there's a shift. I do agree with you that the solutions, right, that the far right provided, nationalism, that is something that flew with people for quite a long time. But for example, looking at Sweden now, they have their elections on September 13th. And hopefully the Sverigedemokraterna will not be part of the majority. So people are kind of fed up with the not working promises the far right gave. They now see that, oh, this is actually not working. This is not to our good. And we do believe that we also hear from EPP colleagues, for example, even more Europe needs to work together even more closely. So there is a shift, I think, also from Donald Trump, like all the bad he brings, of course. But one good thing is that we as Europeans now kind of wake up and are like, oh, maybe we need to stand together. Maybe we need to become independent. And this is what Volt has been advocating for years.
I'm sorry for my being a devil's advocate and my kind of very sad kind of skepticism, because I see still pointing at Poland. We have at the moment the support of more or less far-right parties at the level of around 50%, 48 to be specific. This is not only law and justice that is partly generalist cultural party, but with some really far-right far-right agenda, but also we have two strictly far-right parties, both named Confederacja, more or less. And all these three parties are very much Eurosceptic, if not Euro-critical, if not pro-EU exit, at least in their narratives, their discourse. So I don't see that there is so much ground in such countries like Poland to discuss European federalism. Because are you for European federalism?
Yes, we are. And also, I've been to Poland last year, and there's also a chapter of us in Poland. And of course, the big majority, yes, we're not there yet. I agree. But there are people also in Poland that I spoke to that believe in a European idea. And I do just think we need to be louder. We also, and that is on us, like I said, I traveled to Poland last year, but I need to travel there more often, also to other countries, to be where the people are and to speak to people. That's something that we might not be as good as right now. We need to be more, discussing on the street with people and really listening to them. That's really on us. But I think if we manage to do that, there is a big chance of us being more or very successful.
Why did you personally decide to enter politics and also to run for the European Parliament? And when more or less was it?
That was not so long ago. So that was 3 years ago. I was a teacher back in Hamburg in Germany, and I have 2 kids. And for me it was really seeing my kids, but also the other students growing up in a world that was kind of falling apart was just painful, and I felt that I couldn't do anything to help. So from one day to another, I was sitting at my son's bed and he was sleeping. I was like, I need to do something about this. So I Googled, literally, which party I thought would suit my ideas best. And back then it was Volt. Again, we had one member of the European Parliament back then, Damian Böselager. And everybody around me was like, why would you join such a party? It will never be successful because there's only one member. But I believe that this is a party that I can stand for my own ideas. So I joined Volt in March 2026 and just enjoyed my time to put my spare time into this mission, into this movement, and got elected 1 year later.
Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
you didn't see any party that is aligned with your views on the German market, like, for example, the Greens?
Of course, we share some views. That is, of course, true. At the same time, again, this European perspective, back at that time, and I would say even now, was very unique. Solutions were always looked at, or were always fought through in a national context, and I really, really don't believe that that is the way to go. That was just crystal clear to me. I looked at the S&D, I looked at the left, I looked at Renew Party, and for me it was just no option. So I was really like, if I enter politics, I need to really stand behind the ideas, and that was Volt for me. I have to admit, though, I never thought that I would enter the European Parliament. That was nothing I could ever dream of. So I'm very happy to be here now.
Most Europeans still support the membership in the European Union and the European Union itself. Yet Eurosceptic parties, not only in Poland, keep on raising in the polls. Let's look at Germany.
Yes.
AfD is
Yes.
first,
Yes.
polling first with around 28% of support. How European federalism might be an answer to that, or
European federalism isn't I'm missing the word, there's a German word, Selbstzweck, like it's not a mission in itself, but it needs to drop down to the people. So what we need to do is to connect the European level to the local level. This is kind of what I was hinting at before. That is where we're still missing. We need to explain to people, and we need to have people engaged why the European Union is good. People they learn at school, it's very boring, and then they keep forgetting, but we need to be on the ground speaking to people and, discussing with people, also listening to their opinions and show them that this is the way to go. And I'm always happy to really discuss with people and might also be proven wrong, but I think that's just part of the discourse.
And why do you think it is so that so many European politicians so far struggle to persuade the Europeans about the value of the European integration?
I think because the narrative that the far right can sell is so much easier. They can be so much louder on Instagram. They can be so much more populist. They can just, throw out facts that are false. And that we cannot do. We cannot, it's super hard to counter this bam, 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 bam of fake news that they just put out on TikTok or whatever. It goes super fast. Nobody is fact checking it. And that is something we cannot do. We always need to be differentiated. We always need to say, look, it takes time. That's annoying. That's annoying for people. That's annoying for politicians. And there we need to find, somehow a balance of how we can strike that. And I have to admit that I'm also not sure because I'm also on social media myself. And I find it very hard to be there in a serious way, at the same time kind of fun what people want, So I think that's really that we shouldn't forget this kind of media dimension that also steers democracy right now.
Okay, so now we are going into the direction of discussing the big tech and the algorithms.
Yes.
And generally the algorithmization of our lives, not only politics, but also our lives.
Yeah.
So why do you think it is so that it's the algorithms at least seem to support the more anti-European narrations? Is it about being anti-something?
I don't think that the algorithm itself thinks it's good to be anti-something. It goes where the money goes, and it goes where how can I say it, like the scandal goes, right? Where it's exciting. As I just said,
engagement.
Exactly. And if I now come and say, you see, we need to discuss, and it's both, and that's boring. That's boring for the algorithm. That's nothing that people would engage with, right? So I think that's a problem. That's also why we, as a more progressive party, so far haven't found a way to break through this algorithm because, it's too boring. People won't engage. But I do think it's actually a democratic threat that we see here right now because not only the algorithm, but also people standing behind it, like these big tech groups, they gain power. That's something that maybe that wasn't their intention from the start, but we are here now that they have power and they're meeting Donald Trump and they're his best friends and whatsoever. Yeah.
Do you have any national ambitions, I mean on the country level, or do you have as a party, as Volt, just European Union-wide ambitions? No. We are active locally in both in the Netherlands, where my colleagues come from, but also in Germany. We have plenty of city councillors. I think in Germany it's around 200 already, or 250 even. In the Netherlands we also have a couple, but there's many other countries too, such as Cyprus beforehand, such as France, for example, Italy, to name a few. And that is exactly where we also need to be to connect this European level to the local level. This shouldn't be like an ivory tower, the European Parliament, where we just sit and do our job, but we need to be also in national parliaments and local parliaments to transfer what we are doing here into the lives of people so that people engage, so that people know what we're doing here. Okay, so I wish you luck, you and your party, and I really thank you very much for this great discussion.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
Thank you.